Okay, good afternoon everyone. Welcome to the current affairs classes, and we'll be continuing from the current affairs that we did in the previous week. So in the previous week the government has reduced the agricultural infrastructure development cess. The infrastructure development cess was reduced from 7.5% to 5%. It means the cess that the government was taking for the import of the crude palm oil. Crude palm oil is one of the edible oil. It is one of the edible oil where the government now, in order to contain the prices of the edible oil, have reduced the cess on the crude palm oil. Now with this decision, the import of the oil, refined palm oil, and the import of the crude palm oil, the difference between the two will be reduced. This difference, which now exists to the difference of taxes from the 8.25%. Earlier this difference was less than 6%, but now it has reached to 8.25%. Now what will happen? This will give an advantage. This will give an advantage to the import, where the import of the oil will reduce the import of refined oil, and it will increase the import of the crude oil. It means it will be very beneficial for the refineries. The refineries of India will now can import crude oil, where they can produce more refined oil, which is not only reducing our current account deficit, which is also increasing our exports of the edible oil. Now with this, the government has also ensured that the rate of import duty on the refined palm oil, that is at 12.5%, will remain up to 30th September 2022. The refined sulfur oil will have the duties of 17.5%. Now this will also help in reducing the prices of other edible oils, and this has been a problem of the common man, because the common man was having the trouble of increased food oil prices, which is a basic necessity. Now the government has also earlier introduced the limit in the stocks for the 30th June 2022. It means till this time the stocks of the edible oil will be a part of the essential commodities, and as a part of the Essential Commodity Act 1955, there was to be a check on hoarding. Now this measure will help to curtail any kind of unfair practice, hoarding, black marketing of edible oils, and it will also lead to any increase in the prices, or it will also help to control the increase in the prices of edible oils. Now the government in the year, or in the month of August 2021, introduced a mission that is called as National Edible Oil Mission of Palm Oil. It means it is not the first time that the government is having focus on the palm oil. The government is again having the focus so that the prices of palm oil does not go beyond a particular limit. So it is important, and if you have any doubt, just note down from this and keep that doubt for the doubt session. Now the government, through the Ministry of Consumer Affairs, Food and Public Distribution, the government through this ministry have approved the fortification of rice. Fortification of rice means that this is the type of increasing of the nutritional security. For example, when you are eating salt, the salt is having the iodine added into it. Now similarly, if you are eating rice and the rice is having the introduction or the addition of vitamin A, if the rice is having iron, if the rice is having millet, if the rice is having zinc, so it will increase not only the nutritional security, it will also reduce the cost of the government to provide the additional resources in the form of the nutritional security. So the government is saying that there will be a centrally sponsored scheme in continuation for a period of 3 years that began from the year 2019-20 with is having an outlay of 174 crore rupees. Now this fortification, what does it mean? Fortification is the addition of key vitamins and minerals such as iron, iodine, zinc, vitamin A to D to staple foods such as rice, milk and salt in order to improve the nutritional security. Now these nutrition may or may not have been originally present in the food before processing. It means the rice does not have iron naturally, rice does not have zinc naturally, but the rice can be made to have all these things through the process of fortification. So in the paper the question may come, what is the meaning of fortification? Now it is very clear to you what does it mean. So fortification means that the content is added into that material just while it was being produced or it was grown. It is not added artificially after it has been produced, it is added while in the making stages of that food grain. Now how this will help? How this fortification will help an individual? So this will help to address anemia, this will help to address micronutrient deficiency, this will address to help the other issues like the malnutrition. So the fortification, it is not mentioned here, but fortification can be beneficial for addressing the following problems. Problem of malnutrition, because a question may come that how fortification will help to address the issues that are existing in the nutritional security or in the food security. So the problems can be addressed through malnutrition, undernourishment, stunting, wasting. These are the 4 problems that can be addressed through the fortification. The problem of malnutrition, the problem of undernutrition, undernourishment, the problem of stunting and problem of wasting, and also the problem of obesity. Don't think that with the nutritional security how obesity will be reduced. It can be reduced because obesity is a type of malnourishment. So with fortification this can also be addressed. Okay. For example, if you are having more carbs in your diet, that may tend to increase the body weight, but if you tend to have more proteins, there will be more muscle formation, so it can address obesity. So these are the benefits of the fortification. Right? Now let us proceed further. Now in addition to this, who got the responsibility of doing the fortification? So the responsibility of this scheme is with the Food Corporation of India. Food Corporation of India, which will be bringing up a comprehensive plan for the procurement and distribution of fortified rice in the districts which are the part of the integrated child development services, which are the part of the midday meal schemes. Okay, that is the part of the PM Poshan Abhiyan. Remember in the previous class we have discussed the PM Poshan Abhiyan, it is a part of that only. Now special focus remain on supplying of fortified rice to 112 aspirational districts. It is there in the 112 aspirational districts which are right now facing the burden of threat to food security in our country. Now the objective of the scheme, first the distribution of fortified rice through PDS system. PDS is the public distribution system that we generally, or as a common person we know as the distribution in the ration shops. So there are ration shops. We can also have the coverage of the fortified rice as a part of National Food Security Act. What is National Food Security Act? Just I am telling you about it in brief. National Food Security Act, it provides the coverage to 75% of the rural population and 50% of the urban population. In order to address the food security. And remember that whenever there is a ration shop distribution, rice is an important part of the distribution of food grains. So it is giving an importance to it. Are we clear? Very good. Note this down. Right. This will also have the objective to evaluate. One of the important objective is to evaluate the provisions with respect to the coverage and utilization of fortified rice with the target population in order to identify the efficiency and the effectiveness of that food fortification. Okay. So this is an important topic. The chances of this coming in the exam is that where the food fortification may have benefits, that we have discussed. The benefits may arise at the malnutrition, undernutrition, the areas such as the stunting, wasting and obesity. Okay. Now next is the Medharamjatra Festival. There is the Medharamjatra Festival, which is the second most important festival that, or second festival in India after the Kumbh Mela, that is celebrated with the same vigor as the Kumbh Mela is celebrated. So it is a very important festival of the southern part of India, and it is celebrated by the Koya community or the Koya tribes, and it is celebrated in the state of Telangana. So it is very important. It is celebrated once in 2 years. No, Ministry of Tribal Affairs. So the festival Medaramjatra Festival is under the Ministry of Tribal Affairs, because recently in the 2021 prelims the question has come with respect to the ministries. So the question may come that which ministry is responsible for organizing the Medaramjatra Festival. Now Medharam, it is the second largest fair of India, as I have already told you, after Kumbh Mela. Now this festival is celebrated by the Koya community for a period of 4 days. Now it is celebrated in the remote place in Iruthunarangam Wildlife Sanctuary as a part of Dandakaranya, the largest surviving forest belt in the region. It is known or also known as the Sammakka Saralamma Jatara. No need to remember the name. Sammakka Saralamma Jatara, but you do not need to remember the name, you just need to remember how or why it was celebrated. It was celebrated because there were two daughters and a mother. There was a couple of daughter and mother in a family that fought against the unjust rule of the rulers at that time, and the daughter of her name as Sammakka el Saralamma. It is celebrated in the state of Telangana, and the Jatra begins at Medharam in the Warangal district. Now it is celebrated once in 2 years in the month of Magh. The Magh month means the month of February. Why I am giving you the name month Magh and not the month February? Because in UPSC the question has come that in which month the Chatra, or in which month of the Gregorian calendar the Chatra month fall. So Magh is in February, Chat is in March, April. Now in this, what the people do, the people donate the same amount of jaggery as their body weight as a devotion to this festival. So in this, the jaggery is donated and people take holy bath in the Jampana Vagu, a tributary of Godavari. So a question may come that Jampana Vagu is a tributary of which river? So it is a tributary of river Godavari. Now it was declared as a state festival of Andhra Pradesh in 1996. Now I am using the words the Andhra Pradesh because when it was declared as a state festival, Telangana was not formed. Telangana was formed in the year 2014 and before that it was Andhra Pradesh only. Now what is about the Koya tribe? Why Koya tribe is important? So Koya tribe is the largest Adivasi tribe of Telangana and it is a part of the scheduled tribe in Telangana. The community is spread over the Telugu speaking states of Telangana and Andhra Pradesh. Now Koyas popularly call themselves as Dorala Sattam. That means the Lords group. They also call themselves as Putadora. That means the original Lords. Now Koyas call themselves Koitur in their own dialect. Now there are two important rivers that are affecting the lives of the Koyas. One is the Godavari, another is the Sabri river. The Godavari and the Sabri rivers, they affect and they are influencing the life of the Koya tribe. The Koyas are mainly cultivators and they grow jowar, ragi, bajra and other millets. Now the dance, very famous dance of Koya tribe is Parmakok dance. Parmakokata is the dance that they perform with the bison horns. This may come that this dance is related to which tribe? So Parmakok dance is related to the Koya tribe. Okay, if you want to note down something, note down from it, otherwise we'll proceed further. Done? Now recently LIC has done the initial public offering of its shares. So this is an IPO by a government organization or a government holding, and that is why we need to know what is an IPO and why it is in news and why we need to know about it. So LIC introduce its draft red herring prospectus. The draft red herring prospectus means the terms and conditions which it provides while it will be having its IPO. Now IPO was to offload 5% of its shares. It means in LIC the government will be giving 5% of its share and for that they will be raising money, and it was approximately worth rupees 60,000 crores. Now what is an IPO? The IPO is a process by which a privately held company or a company owned by the government offers its share to the public. For example, if I own an organization, if I have an IPO, for example Paytm had an IPO, so it was earlier a company, private company. When it has its share in the market, in that condition the shares may be taken by the retail investors and so that they can be a owner, 5% though ownership in that company. So that is the meaning of the initial public offering, that you can have this much share in that organization. You are not holding the management. Till the time you do not hold more than 51% share, you cannot have the ownership, but you can be a shareholder. Now the IPO, with the IPO, the company is listed on the stock exchange. It means the stocks of these companies, they become up and down. So it is listed on the stock exchange. Now what is a stock exchange? You all know, you have seen in the news, and you are also aware that in India, in the National Stock Exchange, allegation is there on the CMO or the CMD, where she was saying that one Baba is telling her how to invest money in the stocks. So you know what is a stock exchange. Now what is a listed company? A listed company can raise its share. A listed company can have its share in the market through other offerings, that is called as follow on public offerings. Okay, follow-on public offerings. Now what is a follow-on public offering? It is a follow-on of that initial public offering. The shares that has been given to the, or that has been open in the stock exchange, that can be followed on later on. Now while a company wants to have an IPO, the company has to file its offer document with the SEBI. It means without the permission or without the involvement of SEBI, there can never be a initial public offering. Now offer document must contain all the details that what the company is doing, what the company will do with the money that it is raising. It must be telling everything. Okay, so that is about the initial public offering. Now who are allowed to invest in an IPO? So any qualified institutional buyer, which includes the foreign portfolio investors that are called as FPIs, which includes the mutual funds, which includes the commercial banks, insurance companies, pension funds, etc. They can invest in the initial public offering. When anyone is investing for less than 2 lakh rupees, any retail investor, that person is called as a retail investor. But when a retail investor is investing more than 2 lakh rupees, then that investor is classified as high net worth individual. It means 2 lakh is the limit to identify someone as an high net worth individual and someone as other. Now which company can issue an IPO? So first it has to be having its first prima facie permission with the SEBI. Any country or any company which is having a net tangible asset of at least 3 crore, the company which is having at least a net worth of 1 crore, and a company which is having pre-tax profit, it means the profit before the taxes, for period of 3 years over the last 5 years, if it is having pre-tax profit of more than 15 crore, then that country can be listed on a stock exchange. Now the draft red herring prospectus, I have already told you that it forms a communication link between the IPO and the stakeholders. So this is about the IPO and stakeholders. Note this down, who can invest in the IPO. This is important, this may come in the paper. River Devika project. Now this project is built in the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir. So this project will be complete by the month of June in this year. This project was made as a part of the National River Conservation Plan in the year 2019. According to this project, there will be bathing huts on the Devika River. There will be development, encroachment, and any type of activity which is affecting the flow of the river will be stopped. The water bodies will be restored and the catchment areas will be developed along with the cremation ground, because in India the river bodies are also part of the cremation ground. So the areas will be developed along with the cremation ground. Now what about the Devika River? This river is in the Udhampur district of the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir. This city is famous for the Devika River. Now this river, it is also called as Gupta Ganga. Why? Because this river is lost at various places since its emergence. So this is called as Gupta Ganga. Now this river holds very high significance and is considered as the sister of river Ganga. So question may come that what is Gupta Ganga? The question may come that where is Devika River project? And this river was also had an inauguration of a bridge over it by the Minister of State, because this river will help in the passage of army convoys and vehicles from the region of Jammu and Kashmir from one part towards the border areas of Jammu and Kashmir. So that is why it is important. Now there is a probe by NASA that is called as the Wide Field Imager for Parker Solar Probe. The Wide Field Imager Parker Solar Probe is it is a project by NASA that is launched to study the solar regions and the solar corona. Now this have taken, while going from Earth to the solar system, this has taken an image of Venus. Such an image which is looking like this. The image of Venus is taken from Earth to Venus while it was going towards the Sun, where it has identified the stunning representation of continents, plains, plateaus and layers of oxygen in the Venus. Now what is about the Parker Solar Probe? Now Parker Solar Probe, it was launched in the year 2018 to explore the Sun by traveling closer to the region of the Sun. Okay, and any other aircraft has not reached so close to the Sun that this Parker Solar Probe will reach. Okay, now this spacecraft will, or it is about to reach the region where it wants to travel by 2025. So till now it is on its way, and the only important thing is that it has identified that a layer of oxygen may exist in the Venus. Okay, so this is the image. Then note this down, that what is the purpose. So the solar probe launched in 2018, traveling to identify the mysteries of Sun. It is 13 million kilometers. After which it took the image. Okay, and it has identified the proof that there is elephant critical surface in the atmosphere. Okay, do not need to go in the details of it because that will be too much of science and technology. So we do not need this much science and technology, we just need basic science to understand all these mysteries. Okay. Now this is very important. Recently Karnataka High Court has quashed an action that was taken by the Karnataka legislature by banning online gambling in Karnataka. In Karnataka, through the Karnataka Police Act, the government has banned online gambling and gaming, for example Rummy Circle and other apps like this, claiming that these are creating the habits of betting and gambling in the state, which is not beneficial for the people of the state. However, the High Court has lifted that ban, saying that these online gaming or online gambling, firstly, these are not only the gambling platform, these are also a platform for the talent acquisition, for the talent representation. And if you just ban, or if you just have an umbrella ban on any such activity, then it might create a loss for the talent which is being represented through these apps. Okay, so this is the news, and that same view has been taken by the Supreme Court also. Why? Because if you want to stop one practice, don't ban it, regulate it, so that the benefits can be facilitated and the disadvantages can be restricted. So let us know about this news. So Karnataka High Court, so the question may come, which state has recently banned online gaming? So it was Karnataka. So Karnataka High Court has struck down the Karnataka Police Amendment Act on the basis of skill-based gaming platform. Now the games that were banned were including the risking of money by being a participant of online rummy, poker and fantasy sports. This is not the first time that these are being banned. Even in Tamil Nadu and Kerala, they are banned. The irony is, in Kerala, lottery is not banned, but online gaming is. So, this is an irony. Why? The ruling was that the Karnataka High Court says that this is a violation of the Article 19(1)(g), which says that the person, any citizen of India, has the right to have trade, occupation, business and profession. So when one of the trade, occupation, business and profession is banned, then it is a violation of that fundamental right. Second, the High Court has said that it is against the right to personal liberty, that when a person wants to play something, that person can. So the courts have said that this is arbitrary and irrational to ban such games. Now they also say that the legislative has lack of legislative specialization to have any such legislation on these games. Now court also said that the state government had not providing any evidence, no evidence whether there is a sweeping ban justified or constituted to the expert of the study of the issue. Why? Because there has to be certain evidences provided where you can have any such ban on such online gaming platforms. The court also held that the playing of online games, it is not only bad, it is building the character of an individual, and it is also a freedom of expression and right to liberty which is guaranteed by the Constitution. So you cannot take away the fundamental rights. The court also had an opinion that the regulation of online games may be better and there should be a proportionate solution, that what I have already told you, to have the advantages and reduce the limitations. So this is about this news. This is very important. Note this down, which states are involved, what is done, which type of games are stopped. Okay. So note down something that you find important. Now what are the issues with online gaming? Gaming has been identified as a disorder. WHO has considered it as a disease, a mental health disease. So that was the reason claimed by the Karnataka government that it is also causing the health issues. The online gamings, they are also putting the money at stake that are leading to the financial troubles to the people that are involved. Now online gaming is susceptible to manipulation, where the websites operating on these, they may provide certain kinds of malware, or they may have even certain kinds of blackmailing. So that is why they are not providing the fair opportunity to the people to utilize this. Now how we can do that? We can do that because where you are playing a game, you do not know you are playing it with an individual. For example, you are playing a game and the opposite side, a computer is playing the game, acting or imitating as an individual. What can you do? You can do nothing, and that is why it can be a issue. However, outright ban, again, it is not beneficial, because when you ban it, that it happened in Telangana, it led to the underground development of a gaming industry, and there were the illegal use of such games which were later on identified to have running a parallel, or to have been running a parallel economy, where there were dummy companies that are having the games in the name of different names, and they were also having hawala channels. So that is why online gaming ban is not always beneficial. So note this down if you find anything important. Right. Now the government has linked the Ayushman Bharat mission or the Ayushman Bharat digital mission with the Arogya Setu app. Till now, Arogya Setu app was only being used to know the number of cases of COVID in our country, to know the number of people who are vaccinated. It was being used to book a vaccine slot. It was used to know whether there is someone close to you or in your neighborhood who may be suspected or who is COVID positive. But the government has done a new thing where the National Health Authority, the authority that is responsible for having the Ayushman Bharat mission, has announced the integration of Ayushman Bharat digital mission with the Arogya Setu app. It will allow users to create a 14-digit unique Ayushman Bharat health account number through the app, where they can utilize the benefits of the Ayushman Bharat digital mission. It means now through the Arogya Setu app, you can have the benefits of the Ayushman digital mission. Now, it will provide, or what is the aim of the Ayushman digital mission? It is to provide a digital health ID for all Indian citizens, to help the hospitals, insurance firms and citizens to access health record electronically when required. For example, you go to a doctor and doctor asks, what is your health history? And you say, I don't have the prescription, I don't remember. So doctor has to start from the foundation again. The doctor has to begin from the foundation, where this foundation may not be helpful for your treatment. But now if you go to a doctor and doctor says, okay, give me your Ayushman Bharat ID and let me see what is your health status. You go and check the health status, or the doctor checks the health status, and your treatment can begin from wherever you left. Similarly, if you want to know how much money you have spent in medicines, you can just simply use the Ayushman Bharat digital mission to know your previous vaccines, whatever vaccines you have, or whatever the medicines you have purchased. Okay. So what are the key features? The key features are to have a health ID for all the citizens to have a account. It's same thing that, for example, if you have a car number, through your car number it has all the details of the number of challans or where you get your car registered. Similarly, that will be a health ID for an individual. It will be having an ID or registry of healthcare professionals. It means whatever number of people are providing healthcare in our country, they will be benefited. It will also have the healthcare facilities registry. It means how many number of hospitals are there in our country. It will provide access to both modern and traditional system of medicine. Modern means the allopathy and traditional means the Ayush vaccines, and also Soya that we have understood in the previous classes. The Ayushman Bharat digital mission sandbox, which will be acting as a technology framework. It will provide a way of having product testing that will help the private players and other NGOs to be a part of national digital health ecosystem. Any person, an organization can become a health information provider or health information user that can efficiently link with building blocks of Ayushman Bharat mission. So these are the advantages. It is also creating a national health authority under the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, which will be implementing the national Ayushman Bharat health mission. So it is about the National Health Authority. Now what is the significance? It will help the ease of doing business for the doctors and hospitals, because now you can directly search as per their IDs. You do not have to ask people. So whenever someone is doing good, whenever someone is providing better facilities, there will be a good rating for them. It will enable an exchange of health records between the citizens and the doctors, obviously with the consent of the individuals. They will create integration with the digital health ecosystem similar to the UPI. For the way there is a payment revolution through the introduction of UPI, now it is available very easily, very beneficially, or it is very beneficial. In the similar manner, there can be a infrastructure created through this National Digital Health Mission. Okay, so this is what we need to know about the Ayushman Bharat mission. Note this down, then we will proceed further. Done? I will give you 30 more seconds, but note this down. This is very, very important. Now, you all are aware that there was a controversy in India regarding the wearing of hijab in our country. There was a controversy whether the women can wear hijab or not. And in order to deal with it, India have seen certain participation of the student community. We have seen the participation of the government also, and we have also seen the involvement of the state high courts and Supreme Court, though in a limited extent. But Organization of Islamic countries have interfered in the domestic politics of India and have said that India is doing it, which is specially because it is related to minority, to which India has clearly rejected their statement for being called as communal minded. Why? Because India is very clear about its secular initiatives and secular mindset, and we do not need to have any interference from the Organization of Islamic country, particularly when we are not its member. So we know that Organization of Islamic countries is under the influence of Pakistan, and Pakistan is helping the country or the organization to have its involvement in India's issues. Okay, so they have said India is having a communal mindset. They say that there has to be a involvement of UN Human Rights Council to take necessary measures regarding the issue of hijab in India. They say that they are doing it because the Muslims are minority in the country, to which India has clearly said that we have constitutional framework to deal with such issues, and we should, or we do not want the involvement of Pakistan through OIC in our domestic politics. So that is why we need to know what is OIC. It is the intergovernmental platform having 57 states. It is representing the collective voice of the Muslim world. Now it endeavors to safeguard and protect the interest of the Muslim world in the spirit of promoting international peace and harmony among various people. Now, Organization of Islamic Conference was established by the first Islamic summit held in 1969. This was established after the destruction in the Al-Aqsa Mosque, which is located in the Jerusalem by an Australian. Al-Aqsa Mosque is also important because this is one of the bone of contention between the Palestine and Israel. Okay, so this is what we need to do. Note this down. What is OIC? What is OIC? Note this down. Done. Now, India has launched a new literacy program. It is a adult literacy program. Not we will say particularly adult, because it is involving the people who are above the age of 15 or after the age of 40. So this is new India literacy program. It is a revamped version, or it is a new version for the Sakshar Bharat program. So it is for those who have crossed their age of 14 but they are not literate. Those people who are not literate and above the age of 14, they can have the education through this new India literacy program. It is launched for a period of 5 years, 2022 to 2027. It is to provide the resources, online modules, and to have education for all. The target or the code or the tagline of this is not adult education, it is the education for all, and it will be working through the voluntary basis. Now what are the objectives? It is objected to impart not only foundational literacy but also to provide the necessary literacy to the citizens of the 21st century. What they will provide? They will provide critical life skills, they will provide the commercial skills, they will provide the health care and awareness about the child care, and they will provide about the family welfare. They will also impart vocational skills in order to have employment. They will provide basic education, and they will also provide a continuing education. Continuing education means that the person will not only be left after giving the basic literacy, the person will be provided education in a continuous manner. So that is called as the functional or the continuing literacy. Now this will be implemented through volunteers in an online mode. It will be through volunteers in an online mode. It will be having a training, orientation, workshop of volunteers which may be organized through face-to-face mode. All material will be provided digitally. The schools will be the unit of implementation, and they will be conducting surveys, but that too only through voluntary teachers. So it is with the voluntary perspective. Note this down. The chances of this coming in the examination is very high. I hope you have noted this down. Let's proceed further. Now, who are the beneficiaries? The beneficiaries will be those who are above the age of 15 in all the states and union territories. The target is to have 5 crore learners in 5 years. It means 1 crore every year. The need is that in India approximately 25 crore people are illiterate. Now what is the meaning of illiteracy? A person who is above the age of 6 and can read, write and speak their name in one language. All these three things shall be there, and the person who is the age of 6. So such people who are above the age of 6 and who cannot even write their name in any language, who cannot read their name in any language, such people are also there in India, and that too 25.76 crore, and that we are talking about the 2011 census. Imagine this data after the other census. Now through this new India literacy program we can have the benefits. Are we clear? Note this down, the age group and the number of people to be educated. Let us proceed further. Now, who is a juvenile? Juvenile is a person, in the legal terms, who has not reached the age of 18. So, any person who is not above the age of 18, or that is any person who is not an adult, is considered as a juvenile. Now, Supreme Court has said that whenever the person's juvenility is not clear, or it is not clearly specified, or it is not clearly established, in that case we should not be considering that person as a juvenile, because being a juvenile have various benefits. Being a juvenile provides lesser punishment, not sending to jail but to juvenile reformation centers, and that is why the court is saying that when a person's juvenility is not clearly established, that person should not be considered as a juvenile. Why? Because the plea of juvenility should be in a bona fide and truthful manner. And now, since the 2015, through the Juvenile Justice Act, any person who is between the age group of 16 to 18, if that person has committed a heinous crime, any crime for which the punishment is for more than 7 years, is considered as a heinous crime. If a person has committed a heinous crime, that person will be tried as an adult. So the person not to be given the advantage of being a juvenile, and if a person is a juvenile, if the person can prove it, it's fine, otherwise the person will be not considered as a juvenile while giving any kind of justice. Okay, this is what the courts have established. Clear? So note this down, who is a juvenile, what the court has said, and note this down. This is important because not every time you will be reading this. These things are part of governance. I sometimes cover part of governance in your current affairs because you will not be reading about it separately. So note this down, this is very important. From here to here, note this down. It was after the unfortunate Nirbhaya incident in the country. It came after the unfortunate Nirbhaya incident. So that makes it very, very important. Done. Let us proceed further. Let's see about the World Sustainable Development Summit. So, World Sustainable Development Summit is not organized by a world organization, it is organized by the Energy and Resources Institute. First thing, that it is organized by the Energy and Resources Institute. This was previously called as the Tata Energy and Resources Institute, but now this is TERI. TERI, you must have heard about this. This summit was earlier called as the Delhi Sustainable Development Summit, but now because of the popularity of TERI and the sustainable development, we have named it the World Sustainable Development Summit. Now, through the summit, the Prime Minister has highlighted first that there has to be the equitable distribution of energy resources in the world. The Prime Minister had supported and celebrated the Ujala mission. The Ujala mission deals with the distribution of LED lights. Do not get confused between Ujala and Ujwala. This is Ujala for the Ujala, that is lightning. Ujwala is for the distribution of the cylinders. Okay. Now, the Prime Minister also highlighted the National Hydrogen Mission. The Prime Minister also highlighted the India's role and its appreciation by the IUCN. The Prime Minister also highlighted the inclusion of 49 Ramsar sites in India. The Prime Minister also said that India will be restoring its land degradation and also reaching land degradation neutrality in 2030. The Prime Minister also said that India firmly believes in the commitments made in the COP26. Okay. So, the Prime Minister also supported the commitments under COP26. Now, this summit, or note this down, that it is by the TERI, the Energy and Resources Institute. Now, it is the only summit on global issues that takes place in the developing world. Otherwise, all the summits, they takes place in the developed world. It is the only summit taking place in the developing world. It is conceptualized as a single platform to accelerate the sustainable development along with the mitigation of climate change. And what is TERI? It is a not-for-profit organization earlier called as Tata Energy Research Institute, and it is working for the sustainable development and environmental protection in the developing world. Note down about the TERI. Done. Now, there have been Niti Aayog will be organizing a hackathon, okay, fintech hackathon. So, it will be identifying for the benefits of utilization of various hacks, various technology in the financial technology. That is the meaning of fintech hackathon. Now, there is a Swamitva scheme of the government. There is a Swamitva scheme under which the government wants to develop the digital maps of the villages and cities in our country. So, under this scheme, the government has identified to prepare the maps and 3D maps of 6 lakh villages and 100 cities in India. So, it will be the development of 6 lakh maps of villages and 3D maps of 100 cities. Now, what is Swamitva scheme? This scheme is about survey of villages and mapping with improvised technology in village areas. It was launched in 2020 in order to develop in order to have better development in the areas with their development in the digital land records. The scheme is to map the residential and ownership in the rural area. So, that it is to have the residential and the ownership maps in the rural areas. It will revolutionize to have the digital land records, which will be done through the use of drones. The land records will be made through the use of drones. If the drones are providing the resources, they will be having better understanding of the area using the aerial space. It will cover the entire 6.62 lakh villages in India. The Ministry of Panchayati Raj will be the nodal ministry. It will not be the Ministry of Rural Development. It will not be the Ministry of Science and Technology. It will be the Ministry of Panchayati Raj. Okay. Okay. Very good. Now, in the states, the Revenue Department will be the nodal ministries, and the Survey of India, the body of the Survey of India, will do the general work. Now, what are the key components? Establishment of course network, continuously operating reference system. These stations will provide the continuous identification of what is going on in the digitalization of land records. Okay. So, write down the full form of the scheme first and the nodal ministry. Full form of the nodal ministry is important. Okay. Note this down. Now, there will be a large scale mapping through the drone. I have already told you. There will be the use of information, education and communication. There will be the enhancement of spatial planning using the Gram Manchitra. Gram Manchitra means the rural mapping. There will be online monitoring dashboards. Now, the guidelines are that there will be the private companies which can use these materials, either paying this less amount or they can be paying a proper amount to utilize these maps for their proper implementation. Now, who is developing these maps? So, these maps are being developed by the help of a private firm that is called as Genesis International. Their aim is to create a pan-India 3D map for 100 cities. Okay. So, pan-India 3D map will be a replica of the states or the cities in India, which will look like this. So, the way we view a city through a drone, we can view it through a 3D map. So, 3D map is not done through the Ministry of Panchayati Raj, it is done by a private organization that is called as Genesis International. So, note this down about the Pan India 3D maps. Okay. Now, this is the image. Now, there is a platform that is called as e-rupee. It is not UPI, it is e-rupee, where you are not making payments through your debit card, you are not making payments to your credit card, you are making payments to a voucher. For example, if I want you to have a gift of 1000 rupees, what I can do, I can either give you 1000 rupees or I can give you a token, but that token cannot be accepted by everyone. But a new initiative was launched by RBI that is called as e-rupee, that I will give you a token in such a manner that will be having a prepaid amount that I want to have, and it can be used anywhere without the internet connection. It can be used either through SMS or it can be used through a QR code. So, e-rupee, earlier it was having a limit of 10,000 rupees, But now this voucher can have a limit up to 1 lakh rupees. It means when I wanted to gift you something, I could have only gifted you about for 10,000 rupees, but now I can gift you for 1 lakh rupees also. Now what is e-rupee? I have told you, but let us read about this also. It is a cashless, contactless digital payment medium which can be delivered to mobile phones to the beneficiaries through a SMS or a QR code. It will be like a prepaid gift voucher which will be redeemable at specific centers without any credit, debit or mobile app or internet banking. E-rupee will provide the sponsors of the services, the beneficiaries, the services in a digital manner. E-rupee will also ensure that the payment to the service provider is made only after the transaction is completed. Generally, we have this issue that the transaction is not completed and the payment is made and the amount is debited from your bank account. It cannot happen always. Now the system is prepaid in nature, and that is why it assures timely payment of the service provider. Difference is that it is not a digital currency. The amount that you will be giving, the prepaid token that you will be giving, that will always be equivalent in the rupees or the Indian rupee. So the digital rupee will be separate and e-rupee is separate. Do not get confused, because one question may come, the difference between e-rupee and digital rupee. So now you know the difference. Now how are they issued? They will be issued in a one-time manner that you can use in the multiple times. It's a one-time manner that can be used in the multiple times, where the National Payment Corporation of India can issue, or National Payment Corporation of India is issuing it with the collaboration of Department of Financial Services of the Ministry of Health. These vouchers will identify a beneficiary only through their mobile number, and the voucher will be allocated by a bank to these service providers. So through your mobile number you can utilize e-rupee. So this is the advantage. Okay, note this down, this is also important. Now let us proceed further. Now the democracy index have been released, and it is released by the Economic International Unit. So you must know which organization releases the democracy index. So it is the Economic Intelligence Unit, and it is a group of the Economist newspaper. This releases the index since 2006, and the 2021 index is released for 165 states, which are distributed on 60 indicators and which are divided into 5 parameters. The 5 parameters are electoral process and pluralism, civil liberties, political culture, functioning of government and political participation. These are the parameters on the basis of which we can have the democracy listing, and these countries will be provided with a score of 0 to 10. Now on the basis of these scores, there are 4 types of democracy according to this index. One is full democracy, other is flawed democracy, third is hybrid regime, and fourth is authoritarian regime. Full democracy, flawed democracy, hybrid regime and authoritarian regime. Now as per this, Norway has been identified as the topper of the index, which is having the type of full democracy. India have got the rank of 46, where India is identified as a flawed democracy. The rank of India has, however, improved since 2020. So this is about the democracy index. Note that down, because the question may come, which body releases which index. Done. Let us proceed further. So this is how this index has been ranked. It is by Economist Intelligence Unit. This is the most important. This is also very important. Now there is an authority that is called a Central Consumer Protection Authority. This authority is new. This authority is established by the Consumer Protection Act 2019. Through this, in the year 2020, authority has been established which will protect the rights of the consumer. Now the consumer rights are protected, and with this view, the Central Consumer Protection Authority has given a decision against the GlaxoSmithKline (GSK). GlaxoSmithKline has a product that is called as Sensodyne. Now when you see the ads of Sensodyne toothpaste, you see that a doctor, that is a dentist, is saying that if you use Sensodyne, this is the benefits. Sensodyne will give you this much dental advantage. Sensodyne is good for oral hygiene and XYZ. But that is against the violations, or that is a violation, because in India the dentists are not allowed to give any kind of promotion for any such toothpaste or such commercial product. But what Sensodyne is doing, Sensodyne is using the dentist from UK. So the Indian dentists are not allowed, so they were utilizing the limitation in the act that the dentist of the other country may be allowed. So the Central Consumer Protection Authority has violated this, and they have clearly said that they are not allowed to broadcast any such ad that is representing the dentist from UK or any other country. So they are asked to discontinue the advertisements for Sensodyne products, which were using foreign dentists for endorsing the project. Okay, this was the news. Now the dentists practicing in India are not permitted to endorse any such toothpaste or any such oral product as per the revised Dentist Code of Ethics Regulation 2014. So you must know this, that dentists in India, they cannot promote any product. So you will be confused that we have seen so many dentists. You must have heard this tagline, listen to the dentist and use the products. So that is what is not allowed, okay, since 2014. Now what is CCPA? It is established in 2020, as I have already told you, as the Section 10 of Consumer Protection Act 2019. There used to be a previous Consumer Protection Act that has been repealed, and now Act has been introduced, which is providing the power to protect, enforce the consumer rights by cracking down the unfair trade practices. It is also having the power to investigate, which is headed by the Director General of the Consumer Welfare. The functions are simple: to inquire into any such violation, to pass order for any such violation, to issue directions to the traders and the manufacturers, to impose penalty, and to issue safety notices to the consumers. So these are the functions. Note this down, then we'll proceed further. I hope you have noted this down. Let us proceed further. Now there is a scheme that has been introduced by the government for the welfare, socio-economic empowerment, for the denotified, nomadic and semi-nomadic communities. Very, 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 very important. The scheme for the socio-economic empowerment of the denotified, notified, and or the nomadic, denotified and semi-nomadic nomadic communities. This provides a scheme to these communities to have the welfare of the socio-economic benefits if their family income is not more than 2.5 lakh rupees a year. The scheme will help them facilitate their livelihood. It will provide them various benefits to have health insurance of 5 lakh rupees, to have financial assistance to have their home. Given that they are not a participant in any other scheme. If they are getting the benefits out of any other scheme, then they will not be having any loss. But if they are having any other benefit, then they cannot have benefits of this scheme. Now the scheme will be implemented in 5 years. The scheme will be implemented through the Department of Social Justice and Empowerment. Be very clear, do not think that it will be through the Ministry of Tribal Affairs. It is through Department of Social Justice and Empowerment, and the ministries, other ministry involved are the Ministry of Rural Development and the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare. So these are the participants in this scheme. Note this down, very important. Why important? Because what are denotified, nomadic and semi-nomadic tribe, we need to know about that. So note this down, what is the scheme, and then we will proceed further. Done? Now what are denotified tribes? During the British rule, some tribes were considered as criminals. Some people were considered as criminals, and these people were as a group were declared as a criminal. And those communities were called as the notified communities. But when we got independence, we wanted the independence to be established in the equality or on the basis of equality, and that is why we wanted the communities to be denotified. So the criminal tribes were denotified with the independent government, and that is why those communities are called as denotified and nomadic communities. So the communities which were earlier considered as the criminal tribes, the people who are nomads and the people who are semi-nomads, are called as denotified, some nomadic and semi-nomadic communities. Okay, now they do not be a part of any notification, but they are under the part of the Habitual Offenders Act in the various states. Okay, so this is what we need to know. The question is only about understanding who are notified, denotified and other tribes. Clear? Let us proceed further. Now in the previous class I have already discussed about the Solomon Islands. There was an issue in the Solomon Islands, and that is why the Solomon Islands, the British is saying that we will have their own embassy, so that any idea of China saying that the Solomon Islands does not belong to the British can be ascertained, and it is the part of the Pacific region, and that is why this manifestation of British will definitely give a blow to China. So Solomon Islands is the part of the Pacific region or the Pacific Ocean. Okay, so just see, look at the location of Solomon Islands. They are located in the east or the northeast of the Australia, and they are closer to the Papua New Guinea, and they are part of Melanesia. What is Melanesia? Look at this map. This is Polynesia, this is Micronesia, and this is Melanesia. These are the group of islands. So this is how the group of islands in the Pacific Ocean are divided: Melanesia, Polynesia and Micronesia. Note this down, the name of the islands, it will help you in the exams. Make this diagram and note down the regions: Polynesia, Micronesia and Melanesia. I say note down, I don't say take a screenshot, because if you are taking a screenshot, it means it's better not to take a screenshot because it will be lost somehow. Okay, so write it down: Polynesia, Micronesia, Melanesia. Now similarly, because of the political instability in the region and because of the earthquake in the Tonga region, this region Pacific Island Forum is again in news. Pacific Islands Forum is actually a forum to deal with the problems in the Pacific Islands. So Tonga had an earthquake. Tonga is the part of Polynesia. Solomon Islands is in news. It is a part of Melanesia. And Marshall Islands were also in news. It is a part of Micronesia. You must know this. Now, are you aware about the koala bear? This is how koala bear look like. Koala bear are endemic to Australia. Now, this koala bear, as per Australia, has been identified as endangered species in the states of Queensland, New South Wales and Australian Capital Territory. Now, as per the IUCN, koala bear, they are the part of the vulnerable groups only, but Australia wants to declare them as the endangered group. Now, koala bear are marsupials. Marsupials means those who keep their offspring in a pocket, similar to the kangaroo. They are marsupials where they are having their threat. First, because of the climate change. Second was due to habitat destruction. And the biggest threat to the koala bear are two. First, chlamydia. Chlamydia is a bacterial infection that these koala bears were having, which were making them infertile. And second, it is because of the problems that are related to the bushfires in Australia. You remember few years back in 2019-20 there was a Australian bushfire which was also called as the Black Summer of Australia. It led to the death of so many koala bears and kangaroos, and that is why they have become endangered. Note this down, then we'll proceed further. Just threats to the koala bears. Chlamydia is most important, that you must note down. Chlamydia is most important. Now, Geo has formed a joint venture with the Luxembourg-based satellite company. We are not concerned what they are doing because microeconomics is not in our syllabus. We just need to know what are satellite broadband services. Satellite broadband services means now you do not need towers, you do not need a cable connection. Direct to home, it is called as the satellite enabled services. It means the services are directly using the satellite. Now, these satellites will be helping, the higher the distance or the higher the satellite is, the more distance it can cover. So, this can be a competition to the Elon Musk Starlink and the Bharti group, that is the Airtel group's OneWeb, where they are trying to have their own satellite enabled systems. So, this is why we are discussing it. Now, there are two projects, that is, one is the Muse project, another is the Helioswarm projects, to have the understanding of the sun. So, the question may come that these projects are related to what? So, first is related to the understanding of sun. The sun's corona will be the focal point, and other will be to have an understanding of the wind turbulence or the solar wind turbulence to read the solar winds. So, Muse is for the understanding the corona heating, and the Helioswarm is to understand the solar wind. Both are the projects of NASA. Now, there is a scheme that the government or union government will be continuing for the modernization of the police forces. That is an umbrella scheme, so that the dependence of the states will reduce on the armed forces and army, and the states, they become more sensitive, or the state police forces, they become more sensitive in order to have the reduction in the trust deficit. Now, the salient features are that they will divide the state into two categories. First, Jammu and Kashmir or the union territory like of Jammu and Kashmir, and other northeastern states where they get the benefits 90 center support and 10% state or UT support, and rest category B, where the division of the resistance will be in the form of 60-40. The provisions of the scheme is to ensure that the law and order and other modern technology in order to deal with internal security challenges are robust and developed. It will also earmark fund so that the internal security problems in the left-wing extremist areas, militant areas and the insurgent areas can be addressed. Now, there have been a new hacking system or new spear phishing. Spear phishing means sending emails, so many emails in such a manner that they appear legitimate. So through a spear phishing, it was been identified that modified elephant is a group that is doing spear phishing and tampering the evidences and the digital database. And the recent attack has been regarding the tampering of the evidences regarding the Bhima Koregaon violence. So the accounts or the target groups of this is modified elephant is the journalists, human rights activists, defenders and academicians and lawyers. So they are tampering the evidences against them. So modified elephant is a spear phishing software. What is doxing? Doxing, Facebook, that is the Meta right now, is telling Twitter, Facebook and Instagram, not Twitter, Instagram and Facebook and WhatsApp, that doxing rules should be strict. Now when the doxing rules are strict, we must know what is doxing. Doxing means when you are revealing someone's identity, especially when that person wanted to remain anonymous. If an anonymous person is giving you something and you reveal that identity, that may cause threat to that person or that may create an emotional turmoil in the minds of that person. And in that condition, that person may become distressed or even have physical harm or may experience the gravest danger of death. So the person's identity, if it is being revealed by that individual only, then it is fine. But if other person is revealing, then it is dangerous. Let me give you a very simple example. If someone is posting, there is a person in the social media, if that person is posting, for example, Big Boss. Everyone has heard about Big Boss, but no one knows how Big Boss looks like. But if you reveal Big Boss identity and you put a photo or a picture of Big Boss on Instagram or Facebook telling that this is Big Boss and he's been doing all these things, so that is doxing. Okay, that is doxing because you are doing that without their permission. Now there are smuggling of phencyl. This is a cough syrup that is smuggled from India to Bangladesh, which costs 200 rupees in India, but which costs thousands of rupees in Bangladesh, which is used as an intoxicant. Same thing is Yaba tablets, they are also used as intoxicants. So the question may come, phencyl and Yaba tablets can be related to, so they are related to intoxicants. They are used as drugs by various youngsters, and when the youngsters are using drugs, you know what are the negative impacts. Now similarly, another important news is regarding the birth anniversary of Tilka Manji. Now Tilka Manji was a freedom fighter who organized or who participated and led the Santhal Hool against the exploitative British in 1784. He fought so bravely that he could not be arrested by the British. But when he was finally caught in 1784, he was tied to a tail of horse and dragged all the way to the collector's residence. His lacerated body was hung from a banyan tree, and this is how this freedom fighter, this brave soul, was lost from this earth. So the country celebrated his birth anniversary. It was his 272nd birth anniversary. It's good that the country is celebrating the anniversary of our lost freedom fighters. So this is very important. Tilka Manji related to Santhal Hool. Santhal Hool, where did it take place? It took place in the regions of present day Jharkhand, and it was earlier Bihar. Now there is an example of Suvidha Kendra. Suvidha Kendra is a toilet block in the slum region, Dharavi slum region of Mumbai. This is the region which will be having the great treatment plants, and it will be providing benefits to the 50,000 residents of Dharavi. Kavach is an app developed in the Delhi NCR region by Anushka Jolly. She has developed this app in order to have anonymous complaints regarding the bullying in schools and colleges, so that the students and parents, they can tell about the bullying and they can find the solution of this menace. Then there is a Jangal Bachao Andolan in order to stop the deforestation in the forest of Jharkhand, where the women, they are guarding the villages from 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. and 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. so that there is no deforestation in that region. So it is an example of community engagement for the protection of environment. Now e-rickshaws are provided in the state of Madhya Pradesh, where they are given to women who were stigmatized of sending their daughters into prostitution. Now Odisha government has started an initiative to reduce the problem of anemia in women and children in Odisha, and that is called as Amlan. And Ujjwal Chavan, an IRS officer, is giving the knowledge about the restoring of water or the water conservation in the posting region in Mumbai, and he has given the 40 villages 2 crore liter of water through various check dams. So this is an example of a civil servant who is working in the community. So these are the examples, and this is how we complete the current affairs of the previous week. If you have any doubt, you come for the doubt session and we will discuss those doubts in our doubt session. Thank you very much. We will continue next week.